Today I'm going to be showing you a very simple method for making cheese at home, and it's an easy way that doesn't require any special ingredients. All that you need is fresh milk and juice from lemons or vinegar. Remember, vinegar is something you can buy from the supermarket, but you can also use the juice from lemon, which is what I'm going to use today, and salt. So those are the only ingredients that you need to make this simple type of cheese called paneer. It's a very easy process. We heat up the milk to a little bit more than 90 degrees Celsius, and so that's where it's starting to get foamy, but it's not quite boiling. We let it cool just a tiny bit, and then we add our lemon juice or our vinegar. We put in one or two tablespoons per liter of milk that you're using, and you add 1 tablespoon at a time and then stir. And once it starts to clump together into what are called curds, then you know that you've added enough of the vinegar or the lemon juice, and then you let it sit until the curds come together well. Pour off the liquid, let it go through a sieve lined with a handkerchief. That's what I'm going to use. And then you add a little bit of salt and squish it between some plates and let more of the liquid come out, and then you have your cheese. Now, this isn't the kind of cheese that you'd use for making pizza because it's not going to melt when you cook it, but it's used in a lot of Indian food dishes because you can cook it with something and it is going to stay in its shape. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you the milk that I've started heating here, and once it gets to about 90 degrees, then we'll add our lemon juice and see how it curdles. Here's our milk that I've put on the heat, and you can see with this thermometer here that 90 degrees, the numbers on the inside circle are Celsius and the ones on the outside circle are Fahrenheit. So 90 degrees is right around there, so we're waiting for this red arrow to be pointing here. So we're just going to leave it to heat and keep stirring it every once in a while to make sure it doesn't burn on the bottom of the saucepan. And then once it gets to about 90 degrees, I'll show you so you can see how it looks. Okay, our milk has reached 90 degrees. You can see that on the thermometer here. So it's not boiling yet, but it's starting to get really close, getting some bubbles and kind of a film on the surface. So I'm going to take it off of the heat, and then I'll show you how it looks as we add the lemon juice to make it curdle. Okay, here's our milk. We've removed it from the heat. So I'm going to start adding the juice from the lemon 1 tablespoon at a time. So we're expecting that it will take between 2 and 4 tablespoons. But it could be more. You just want to stir it in a little bit after you add each one. Here's 2. And it's going to make the milk curdle, so it will make it separate. So 2 is not quite enough. We'll add the 3rd one. Mine are not quite full. It's a little tricky to get a spoonful while I'm also holding the camera. That's 3. Here's the 4th one. That one was 5. Six. So you can see it's kind of starting to curdle a little bit on the spoon. Let me just kind of pour a little bit because I made trouble scooping it out with the spoon. Okay, so now you can see that it's clearly separating. You can see there's a clear liquid and then the solid chunks. And so we're going to, looks like it's separated well. So we're going to let it sit here for 10 minutes and then we'll come back and put it through our sieve, our handkerchief. So I'm starting the timer for 10 minutes and we'll come back in 10 minutes. Okay, I've got my sieve and my handkerchief ready so that as soon as the milk has sat for 10 minutes, I'm going to pour it into here so that the liquid goes out into the bowl and then the cheese remains inside there. Our 10 minutes is just about finished, so I'm going to take this saucepan with the cheese and pour it through my handkerchief. So I just want you to see how it looks. It's very separated. The liquid is called whey, and then these chunky parts are called curds. So we're going to collect the curds in the handkerchief and let the whey go out into the bowl. Alright, I want you to be able to see the bowl more than me, so I'm going to be pouring this stuff through here carefully. You can see the whey filling up the bowl. So the whey you can use for cooking or for baking afterward, or you can just throw it out if you don't want to use it for something. I want all of it to filter through my handkerchief. I just want to make sure that it doesn't overflow from my small sieve. Into most of the cheese here. There's quite a lot of whey in my bowl, so I want to pour a little bit of it off so that it's not soaking up through the bottom of the sieve there. Make sure that there's room for the rest of my cheese to go in. So you can leave your cheese in the sieve like this, or you can tie the handkerchief up and hang it over a bowl so that the whey drips out. Let me grab the camera and bring it over so you can see how it looks from above. Alright, there are our curds. So we're going to leave them for 30 minutes to make sure that all of the whey comes out. So again, I've got my timer set here. We're going to go ahead and start that. In 30 minutes we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, our time is pretty much up, so we are now going to sprinkle some, let me just stop this. We're going to sprinkle some salt onto our cheese, and we don't need very much salt. Even a quarter of a teaspoon is plenty. Just want to kind of sprinkle it over the cheese. It's going to be cooked with other things, so the sauce will make it salty. And then we're going to wrap the cheese up in this cloth, like that. And we're going to press it between two plates. So I'm going to move this onto a plate, like that. And then I'm going to put another plate on top. And then I want to put something heavy on it to press the whey out. So you can use anything that's heavy, you know, a tin of something. I've got this really heavy saucepan that I'm going to put on top. And then we need to leave it for at least an hour, pressing like that. And then we'll pour off the whey again. And then you can keep pressing it if you want, but otherwise you can refrigerate it or cook with it right away. So I'm going to leave it for at least an hour. Then I'll come back and check on it again. Alright, we're back. It's been an hour, and if you look closely you can kind of see a puddle of whey on that plate there around the cheese. So at this point you can decide if you like how dry the cheese is or if you want it to be more dry. So you need to pour off that whey because it's just sitting in it. To me, it still feels pretty soft and squishy, so I'm going to go ahead and give it at least another hour. But otherwise, you just take it out of your handkerchief and go ahead and cut it up and use it for cooking, or you can put it into some other meal. So after I finish, you can see some whey is still coming out. After I finish, I'll pull it out and show you what it looks like, the finished product. Alright, let's take a look at how our cheese looks right now. I'm going to say it's probably done. There's still some whey that has come out. Let me pour that out. So now we can just open up our handkerchief. And you can see there's our piece of cheese. So I can just cut it and start using it, or I can keep it for later.